They spent nearly 30 years forcing indigenous people to move westward beyond the Mississippi.
Man.
Right? Now, where do this happen? Somewhere in the Bible. Don't this happen somewhere in the Bible? Somebody was traveling around for 30, 40 years because they ain't had no homeland.
The Israelites.
Where was they coming from?
They were coming from ancient Kemet.
Mm-hmm. Who was they following?
Who they following? Moses.
Okay, and Elijah Muhammad said Moses did what?
Go ahead. I can't remember.
Elijah Muhammad said Moses was the one that was sent to civilize the so-called pale man.
Yeah, okay, yeah, to put the boat. Yeah, go ahead. Okay, I'm with you.
Remember, he said Moses had to sleep in the ring of fire because they were so savage they might eat him in his sleep.
Right. Go ahead. That's right.
Right? Yeah. Now, in here is 30 years. The biblical stories say 40 years.
Okay.
So it's a 40-year sojourn.
Okay.
Right? So this 30 years take us to 1860. 40 years take us to 1870. About 12 years before the Dawes Roll Act.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So from 1830 to the Dawes Roll, okay, go over to Google and pull Dawes Roll up again. We got to get the exact year again.
I got you. We hitting it. Man, this shit's sticky. Man, bro.
What you pulling up? I can't see that.
I'm pulling up the Dawes Roll, but it like my shit was sticking. Don't let me type in. There you go, right here. It's the year is 1898. Hold up. Hold on. Let me go back. Just find out. Okay. The Dawes Roll, also known as the Final Roll, are listed individuals who accepted eligible tribe membership in the 5 indigenous tribes: Cherokee, Creek, Choctaw, Chickasaw, and Seminole. It does not include those whose application was stricken, rejected, or judged to be doubtful. Probably some dark-skinned people, right? Real Indians tried to file, and they got shot down, right? Those found eligible for the Final Roll were entitled to we just had read that, right? Allotments of land, usually as a homestead.
Mm-hmm.
The roll contained more than 101,000 names from 1898 to 1914, primarily from 18.
Okay, we just looking for the year right now, Elder. The year that it was passed again. So you go back to the main page. The year shouldn't be hard to find. It should be right there.
Right here. Okay, I got it. Hold up. I got you. It's the year is 1893.
Okay, so from 1830 to 1893, that's further than 40 years of sojourn waiting to have a reservation.
Yeah.
Right, actually 63 years, ain't it?
Yeah. It says from 1893 all the way up into it's a long time. Hold up.
I thought it was first passed in the 1880s.
Hold up, let me make sure this right here is right. It says right here 1893. So hold up. What year? Okay. 1887 is the date.
Okay. Now that's more closer to the date I was thinking.
All right. The 1880.
So that's 47 years still though. That's the 40-year sojourn of the so-called Israelites.
Yeah.
Now now remember, while this is going on, the Indian Removal Act, right? They marching across the land, but they're supposed to be coming from the South.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody that know basic American history know that the South was about 90% melanated us.
Mm-hmm.
So where did these pale people come from in the South?
Exactly.
They couldn't have been there. So we're going to go to where they come from in the next one. We just reviewing Dawes Roll now. Right? So scroll down. Let's read some more. There have been conflicts between whites and indigenous people since the first so-called white settlers arrived in North America, but in the early 1800s, The issue had come down to the so-called white settlers encroaching on the indigenous lands in the southern United States. Now, here go the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Go back to Martin Luther King
Mm-hmm.
talking about the mechanizing of the farms,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, he's telling you what was going on during this period right here. This is the period of time he's talking about when they begin to mechanize the farms, and they hired us to teach the so-called settlers how to farm the land.
Mm-hmm.
All of the indigenous people know that we had to teach the people that came to the land how to farm because none of them knew how to work the unique land that was over here better than we did.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now, 5 indigenous tribes were located on land. Notice they specify on land
Mm-hmm.
that would be highly sought for settlement,
Mm-hmm.
especially as was prime land for the cultivation of cotton. The tribes on the land were the Cherokee, Choctaw, Chickasaw, Creek, and Seminole.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Over time, the tribes in the South tended to adopt the so-called white ways, such as taking up farming in the tradition of white settlers, which they didn't. We taught them how to farm. This is a known historical fact that all of us know without even asking who taught the so-called pale people how to farm. Remember Mayflower came, they was dying of starvation because they didn't know how to cultivate food.
That's right.
Right. So in some cases, even buying and owning enslaved black people. They got to throw that in there, right?
They had to put that out for now.
I like that right there.
15.
Okay. In fact, settlers hungry for land were actually dismayed to see these tribes, contrary to all the grotesque propaganda about them being savages, adopted the farming practices of white Americans.
Yeah,
This don't even make sense. This is not even possible.
Yeah, right.
Right? But this is the story, the narrative they're giving us. So we're going to work with it. The accelerated desire to relocate indigenous people to the West was a consequence of the election of Andrew Jackson in 1828. Jackson had a long, complicated history with indigenous tribes, having grown up in frontier settlements where stories of attacks by them were common. Right? Now, before we go any further, so the question on Haile Selassie and the relation to Enlil.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now, remember Baba did that scroll called Is Haile Selassie the Christ?
Yeah.
And you remember he went through his whole genealogy in here, and he went back like a long way back.
Yeah.
Right? So why did Pops do that?
Go ahead.
You got to know Haile Selassie.
Okay. Yeah, that's right.
If he want us, the children of Enlil.
Yeah.
Right? They looking for a homeland on Earth. We ain't giving them shit.
White supremacists that were trying to meet the same objective, but he was just smart. Like if we all say we agree on something, but we can't work together. Me and him don't agree on nothing, but we do agree on one thing. We all want to have this connection for us to go back and forth to Africa. So he worked who he could work with. So I'm sorry, I was just because people always try to change the story and they half-ass do research. I'm especially about Marcus Garvey.
Now, a lot of when they be talking about Pan-Africanism, when you go over there, because if you get a Pan-African education, like Noble Ali said, get a good Moorish education. Right? So when you study the Moors, it's going to tell you something about a group of people that don't behave like you.
Right.
Right? When Garvey say form a confraternity, a world African confraternity, Asia meets Africa, right? The uniting of what they say, all of them say uniting the Asia and Africa. That's to who? That's the father and the mother.
Mm-hmm.
That's Isis and or Inanna and Enki,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or Isis and Osir.
Mm-hmm.
So bring mom and dad back together. What do
Mm-hmm.
that produce? The black dog,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that's coming over here,
And that's why Ryan's build is out right now.
right? So when
Mm-hmm.
we look at the foundations of government,
Mm-hmm.
they don't have nothing to us.
Mm-hmm.
Under the matriarchy, the process is a process of nature. The natural order of the spiritual ranking system will be expressed in the domain of the public or the human. We're gonna act as godly as we attain. If you don't attain godhood, you can't become godly. If you don't pay attention to your God self, you
Mm-hmm.
can't behave like a God.
Mm-hmm.
If all you focus on is your physical self, you can only behave within the confines of the laws of physics or the physical realm. But when you start using your God self, you above the now you looking down on this shit like, why did I give a fuck that somebody got murdered? I created that shit,
Mm. Yep.
right? If you
Mm-hmm.
God, if you truly in your God self,
Mm-hmm.
when you created the good, the byproduct is all it's the shadows, it's the our counterfeit spirit, it's the reflection of the thing you created. So when you created all these righteous motherfuckers, they
Mm-hmm.
had to be inhabited with unrighteousness.
Mm-hmm.
That's why Paul say that when I try to do right, for some reason I can't do
Yep.
that shit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
But when I ain't trying to do right, this motherfucking demon right here
Mm-hmm.
be all up in me. So every time I try to do right, this motherfucker rise up and make me behave according to him. Who is this motherfucker he's wrestling with? W.E.B. Du Bois put it like this in The Warring Soul, in the
Mm-hmm.
souls of black folks. He
Mm-hmm.
says two identities in me.
Yep.
One, a construct of a white supremacist society created and gave to me as my personal self. And the other self that I'm always wrestling with, my true identity of blackness and who I really am, right? When you talk about blackness under those, in that context, you're talking chaos energy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because if you're fighting against the artificial self, the only thing can defeat it is control chaos.
Right.
So that means that you have to first go into the chaos. They call that going insane.
Mm-hmm.
And when you come out of the chaos, is when you learn how to put the chaos in order in the 3D realm,
Mm-hmm.
right? So once you start putting your own mind together, the side effect is as you speak about what you did when you put your mind together, you reconstructing the mind of the rest of the lost.
Yes, sir.
Like that's why, like I said, because I was telling you, Marquise, I was like, I feel like her story had been told, right? Because everyone just kind of always talks about it. But I'm like, that's the really true version. That's the first Phoenix. That's the real version of, conquering death, hell, and the grave. Because it wasn't just that she picked up the pieces of Osiris from the scattered land, which is picking us up right now. We're kind of going through a set situation. Because if you look at all throughout the land, this whole land, everyone is rising up through all the various places. But she also went down because in order to resurrect him, she had to go down into what they call hell. And then she created a phallus from light so that she could create a new light and resurrect. So if you ever have an offset or Isis altar, you got to have not only a feather, but you have to have something that is resurrecting of dealing with quote unquote death or resurrection. You can't just have no offset altar and just have something cutesy. You got to have something that she represents resurrection in life and death in there. And so people have kind of minimized her story. And so I always have to retell it properly in the proper context of the true divine feminine energy of the rising of the true phoenix, because she is the rising of the phoenix. Like that is the energy.
Okay, now something else that we need to ponder when we're looking at that. The
Mm-hmm.
humanity of it, meaning the mortal aspect,
Mm-hmm.
right? When Osiris was killed, that was the love of her life.
Yes.
So we don't think that she fell apart emotionally.
Right.
And when she was putting him back together, it never crossed nobody's mind that she was creating her pathogenic son that they call Heru,
Right.
right? So in other words, she was teaching his son to be just like his daddy.
Mm-hmm.
So what she do in the end? She resurrected the father and the son.
Mm-hmm. And why we have to have the divine feminine and masculine. Like that's why they wanted to
Always.
separate them. because they know together we powerful. So that's why it's a requirement that they're
That's
gonna.
the sick part, man. I'm not. We say, and one of the funny thing about being a sovereign entity, a god, or whatever we want to call ourselves now, right? We look at everybody else around us, man. Like I be around so many people. Like you ever just be around some people and just be like, damn. You know what I'm saying? People be lost like a motherfucker. You just be trying to figure this shit out. Like that's where I'm at with it. I'm trying to save as many. I don't know where I'm at with it. I'm trying to save as many people as possible. But you know how that shit is. Like brother said, shit. A lot of people just here for the fuel the flame. But I just noticed that a lot in New Orleans, a lot in Mississippi. Like I come to them with a brand new way of thinking. Like yo, this is right. You know what I'm saying? You see, I'm still alive. I went out there. I stepped outside the box. I'm back. This is what we got here. We can try this. It's different. We can leave all the other shit alone. And some motherfuckers just stuck. You know what I'm saying? So now I'm just in between. Do we rebuild? Like he said, we've already been doing this for so long. It's like real quick though. If you look at the screen, the way our screen is split right now, it kind of look like a Dogon. I can't pronounce the name, but the Dogon mask, which is actually a big thing tonight. Also the currency thing, back to what you're talking about, because I don't want to get too far off. You were talking about full moon, eclipse, Taurus, money, eclipse in your money, war in your money. Or should we attack? Some people are saying, take that as I don't want to attack the industry right now. I take that as think about it, Taurus, attack the industry right now, attack everything that makes sense right now. Right? Oh, real quick before we forget, CMOS. Niggas about to be selling CMOS on the corners like weed around this motherfucker. They're trying to ban CMOS. CMOS.
Okay, let me give you a spoiler. Anything that you think that they trying to ban, they trying to get your attention with that shit.
I peeped that too. Yeah, I was trying to figure that shit out myself.
Look, if they think that if you go, because you got a person that be trying to avoid those woke niggas, those campus niggas, or those Muslim niggas. You got people that actively avoid those niggas that's always talking that knowledge shit. So, in order to get one of them motherfuckers to pay attention to one of them niggas that's talking that knowledge shit, when they bring up Sabi, right? And they got enough Nipsey Hussle in them to know who Dr. Sabi is and that he advocated CMOS, right? So now he was ducking all of the knowledge motherfuckers, but now they finna ban CMOS. Then he go, that's how you crack through the conscience of a motherfucking hardhead.
Right.
It's all.
It's so hypocritical. You talking about we niggas is dumb. Like we acting like our ancestors this, our ancestors. You let them break the treaties. They breaking treaties right now with the freedom of speech. The freedom of speech.
You ain't looking at it.
No, I get it. But on the God status, they got Kyrie pent up in the corner for his speech. So on some, we want bans because you said something. What happened to freedom of speech? What happened to these articles that we know they don't exist? But why now, as gods, why are we penetrating like, where's the comeback of the beautiful? Kyrie, you don't got nobody smart enough around you to be like, we're suing you for going against our freedom of speech? Or does that go back to the contract thing? The thing when you sign contracts?
I think I understand. Just to see that people got to get exposed. It is what it is. They got to be drug. I mean, it's just kind of, it is what it is. Like, that's why I think I'm moved, and meaning I'm supporting, but I'm not moved because I understand this. Part of eclipse season is it's exposing people too. Like, that's part of what eclipses do. It opens up, it exposes, like not just in the Kyrie, but also in people's individual lives. So you have to look at things are like stuff is going to come out in people's individual lives, in the spirit realm, in political realms, and finance. Like, shit is just in the open. Like, you lay this shit out on the table.
Why they never took Mardi Gras from New Orleans?
Because we can tear that bitch up.
You can't.
Right, because it's something in the people that if you take that away from them, it causes them to react like a person detoxing from a drug. They rebel because they can't. They used to having an open ancestral channel.
Right.
And now motherfuckers trying to close that shit. Okay, look at it. Listen, look at it with the guideline. You not finna stop a motherfucker from New Orleans from having Mardi Gras. So what do? You make that motherfucker to a big deal every time they have it.
Right.
Right? So they know that it's still there, but it's only a big deal in New Orleans and you everywhere else.
Oh, you try to temper the energy and make it seem like it's commercialized or try to minimize it. Yeah.
Right. Try to make it seem like it's some evil demonic shit that they only do in New Orleans.
Right.
1,000 pardons. Just say we just did the Goon just for 21. with the OGs out here, with the OG, the goddess herself, Sunni Patterson. When I tell you, fuck all the bullshit, come out there for yourself and see the shit. When I tell you, we weren't just stomping to be seen. We stomped. What we were stomping was the white people neighborhoods, the Irish neighborhoods, the Jew neighborhoods, and we were stomping out that bitch. Skinheads was out there. We didn't. I wasn't trying to do all that with the cameras. I'm trying to show the beauty of it. But it was skinheads out there, bitch. Like New Orleans, they bought it, but we were stomping on that shit, saying, and we were writing them. Yeah, we remember we killed y'all one time. It literally that ceremony was saying, we killed y'all and we slaughtered y'all right here. We remember, and let's dance about it, and let's talk about it, and let's play about it. We had the demon out there with us.
Yeah, I saw
God, demon, you know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, it's on some other shit. Like, we still stomping on motherfuckers. It's just motherfucking, you know what I'm saying? I just wanted to interject that part, but it's bigger than just, oh, it's being seen. No, it was a whole ritual. We were stomping on their shit. We were stomping on their grave. We were laughing. We went to the slave quarters in New Orleans and went down there and said, yeah, we bringing our ancestors with us. You know what I'm
People
saying?
be sleeping on New Orleans energy. People don't overstand because, I'm Louisiana folk Creole. Like, that's what my people say. People sleep on the energy and power that's still to this day that's sitting in New Orleans. Like, they don't sleep on them because them people still down there do what they got to do. And they'll do it with a smile. Like, I'm talking about all the time, every day, day in and day out. They got as much going on. I was there to say as IAT. Like, it's for to me an American portal. New Orleans just kept it going. It's a reason they try to give a bad reputation and say, well, don't mess with that Louisiana girl. Don't
When it
be
comes to real, I ain't even gonna put that out there no more. That's just for the dumb ones. They said bad reputation, but that's for people that just don't know shit.
I don't care. I don't care. But I'm saying the reason why, just like how they talk about IAT, they talk about Louisiana, in particular, the New Orleans or the Baton Rouge point, but the New Orleans, because it's an energy down there and it's a power down there. And to this day, like I'm telling you what I know. Yeah, I'll just say that, and they have kept it going. And to me, it's a reason that I feel like that they have used to put those hurricanes and was constantly attacking them, just like they was attacking I-80 with hurricanes and earthquakes, because they were attacking the people because it's energy and they could feel that energy and those ceremonies that was coming from that portal. Them people be always putting in work. They ain't never stopped, never.
So
Not in New Orleans, yeah.
a good thing to explain is like where we at right now, energetically, and people understand this is okay. So you got to understand we in a transitional time from going from the lunar moon cycle into the solar sun cycle. That's the natural transitional phase on the 3,600 year elliptical orbit. 2,400 years of that,
Yep.
and some change is how often we change the age.
Right. We're in a changing of an age right now.
Okay, so we going from the Piscean age into the Aquarian age. The Piscean age, the motto that goes with the Piscean age is "I believe."
And we're going to knowing. Yeah, from believer to knowing.
Right. And the one for Aquarius is
I
I know.
know.
Right. I can prove this shit here. Okay. Now, the people that used to believed in it long enough for it to be in the collective unconscious, so it can be downloaded and utilized for the advantage of the people. All of their beliefs becomes our responsibility to manifest. So we don't have to believe that shit.
Right.
They did that for us.
Right.
Right? So the phoenix, what? Goes down in its own ashes. Because we burnt yesterday the fuck down.
Over.
And that's why the sun had to come up for us to have a new day from the ashes.
And this is and the eclipse energy is a 6-month cycle. So that cycle, and it's interesting you said Pisceonic because their Saturn, meaning their harmonic return, ending their Saturn energy, all that dark energy is at March 23rd, 2023. So that's what I'm saying. They're closing out completely, not only their cycle, but also them having to receive their karmic debts for everything they've done, all that blood sacrificing, all that murdering, lying, taking money, taking people's indigenous land, stealing of the planet. That's another reason they're nervous and trying to do the stuff, because a lot of what they're doing is trying to, they think, tamper their own karmic return galactically and astrologically that's coming on them. Starting, the first one is March 7th, but then March 2023, which it sits in for 19 of their years, and they're the one who created this space-time construct. So yeah, and we'll be sitting in our return of taking back our land and rebalancing the energies and stuff. So yeah, it's a cleanup.
since you mentioned for the last year we've been in the birth chart or the natal chart for the United States. It's been in the Pluto retrograde.
Well, no, they're getting ready to start it. It hasn't started yet. They're going to be in a Pluto retrograde starting March 7, 2023. So, but they've been in there. We've been in our Saturn and Aquarian, meaning us as a collective have been in our Aquarian energy. But America and kind of the Great Britain is getting ready to start their shit officially in March. But it's kind of getting what I call on the runway, like with the plane on the runway and the startup. That's what these eclipses have been doing, is letting them know what's coming. Because this energy that we're going through now, which is why they closing the feds and having all this, the tribunal stuff that you talked about, the inky, and this is just a runway. This shit ain't even hit yet. That's why they nervous, because it haven't even really started. This is just a runway. The plane ain't even in the air yet.
Sure. Okay. So when we going into the Pluto retrograde, ain't that like here's all of your shit back?
Yeah, that's what they call that the Pluto return. So their Pluto Aquarian return, which is this place that they sit when they officially stole the land in that 1776, is all your shit back. And that's officially for them. That date for that one is March 7th, 2023. And then there's Saturn return in Pisces, because they decided to live under this Pisceanic monetary in particular system and even political system. That's why I said political system is done. So they're getting both of their shit at the same time. And the thing with the Pluto one, that's not something that comes like every 3 months, whatever. It's a once every 200, I want to say 50 or 60 something years. So this is their complete, and it sits for a long time, like 19 years. So, and that second one is March 23rd. So they're literally getting them all at the same time.
So that's what these sigils say in the layout of DC. That's what the translation is. What you just said. Because it says it's a triple overlay.
Yep.
Financial, political, and really it's legal, but it translates as governmental.
Yep.
But it's legal. It's the law is being returned back to its proper position, which is the great law.
Yep.
Right.
We're going to have a lot of deaths, finances, and of course, return of the land. So all of that stuff has got to reset, basically.
So the ancient code of kings and the rights to the earth right both is in agreement that once the original system is restored, balance returned back to the air, the land, the air, and the water.
Yes.
And that's the exercise of the great law.
Yes.
So if this was to be facilitated by making people close out the conjures, now it would make sense. Because any great conjure that's open causes a delay in the ability for the system to turn over.
Right, that's why it has to be closed out. Like I even had that discussion, and it has to be closed out prior to March 7, 2023. Like all the conjures have to be closed. That's like the final day, period. Because if it's open, then we don't need it open. Yeah.
So somebody said, what's the significance of May is Mary, minus the R. Right? Mary is the rebellious woman, the mother of the sun. So that's Isis energy as the protective mother, born in March. Right? And March is Pisces, Aries, right? Pisces.
They'll be under Pisceanic. Well, interestingly enough, one hits under Pisces and one hits in the conjunctive Pisces Aries, but it's a Pisceanic energy though.
And Aries come in also in May, right?
In March.
I mean, in March.
March, April.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it comes in March 22nd to 23rd. So it's so when their Saturn return hits, it's technically going to hit ironically under Aries, which is under the Bookman.
and that's the fire and war.
Yeah.
And Aries is the god of war.
Yes, and he's ruled by Mars, which is the god of war, which is now sitting in Gemini doing his thing because it's collecting energy right now.
Okay, so we slowed it down now. I think we got it to a pace where we could.
No, I'm over here reading the messages. I mean, the message is it's beautiful. Like I be putting on for Mississippi and Florida, and the Mississippi, Florida, Louisiana connection, and they are showing so much love to Mississippi. You know what I'm saying? The night before moon, man, send some power down so we can stop down on it. You know what's out here? Y'all know what we're playing up against down here. Send some manifestation of like help me damn destroy this shit down here. Like anyway, but you want to speak on the Florida, Louisiana, Mississippi connection?
Well, you know, we used to walk the trees from Louisiana all the way to Florida to chop them all down.
Even through Arkansas, actually, too.
Yeah, well, they chopped down the trees off. They gutted the East Coast for their trees.
Yeah.
Right. Most of this land was forested because we chose to have it forested for a reason. When they came in, they wanted to be able to see us riding on the backs of the alligators in the Everglades. They couldn't see us because it was the thicket was too thick. And then when we pop up on their ass, we right there in their face. Now, the modern reference is the purpose of Agent Orange in the Vietnam War is the same purpose they were setting forest fires over here. We used to be so in tune with the gators. They had to use our children as food for alligators in order to get them to develop a taste for our food.
Facts.
And that's why you notice a lot of slave revolts had meetings in swamps, whether it was Florida, IAT, or whatever, because we was very in tune and always have been in tune in our you know.
Man, I'm not at home right now, but both of y'all seen some of the artifacts I have, and all the artifacts are books for us, and all of them show literally our ancestors, the women riding the crocodiles away from their enemies, or sending the crocodiles to the ancient dragon. I'm from Panama. My grandfather's from Panama, and then my other side of my family is from Benin. Both sides don't know each other per se, but except for if they're saying it's a slave trade, but I'm thinking it's going back to Mensa Bakari II, where it was 3,000 ships that came from over there. So they try to make it seem like it's all slavery, but we came over here on business as well.
We've been trading and marrying with people from Africa.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's hard to explain it, but most people don't be on. You know what I'm saying?
In the islands, in the South Americas, and Southern America, we was marrying people from Africa the whole goddamn time.
Right.
On the West Coast, we was marrying Polynesians, Asians, motherfucking Filipinos.
Yes.
We were going across the water. They, bring wives to trade from the royal families to make family treaties and shit through marriage. Right? So when we realize that, we understand that the whole slave narrative, that's why it falls apart. Because the prehistoric bloodlines have all of this testimony that overrides what any of their books say.
Right.
So we know that when we was iron workers on the railroads in the Southwest, that we was working next to the motherfuckers that they kidnapped in China.
Yep.
But we don't want to talk about the Chinese slave trade in the Americas. But we was working right next to them.
Yeah.
They thought we were some phenomenal working motherfuckers. Listen to the song Big John. Listen to the song John Henry.
Listen to when they also dressed up as the bondlord.
He was a big old man. They go to describing him.
John Henry was hammering on that mountain. They said he was 10 feet tall in that song. You remember that from the nursery rhyme? I remember that in elementary school. Because they said John Henry was hammering on that mountain. He was either, they said 8 feet tall or 10 feet tall. I remember that. They say he hammered so hard that he broke his heart. But yeah, I remember that song. That's when they was cutting down our crystal trees, our big ass trees and stuff.
Oh, OG, 1 second though. Someone said a question or made a statement, and I do want to address that. They said there was never no slave ships found. There's no ships over here found for anything. There's no ships over here for white people either. We got to get out that narrative of I guess everybody wants to be free.
Look,
I'm addressing that real quick because people were saying that, and we're disrespecting the ancestors. Shit happened. A lot of shit happened, and we can't discredit one for the other. I think that's where we get like over this or that, and we try to force it. But the slave trade did happen. Niggas were getting traded all around the South Americas and America. That shit happened, but there was still niggas over here too. It's not one or the other. But people be like, when there's no slave ships, where are the Europeans? You don't see their ships either. You don't see the great ship Jesus.
You look up Ellis Island. They're coming up. Look, we got the ships, but we don't have the sardine pack slave ships they talk about. That's just an overlay for Notre Dame University because the plot was a collegiate educational plot. It was developed in the educational boardrooms of Rome, right? It just so happened that Notre Dame is in France. And France is where Paris is, and Paris is the city of Isis. France means Frank, right? So if France means Frank, and Frank is a male name for Francis in the English, Francis being the Latin. Be able to do what's necessary to offer the proper aid and assistance to your child. But one of the things is if you have a boy or girl that they say is hyperactive, the girls we developed in Atlanta is something called gymnastics. That's for girls with high Shakti energy. They diagnosing those girls now with ADD, ADHD, bipolar disorder. They just not teaching them how to harness that energy. So we gave them gymnastics. The more rebellious but more highly feminine types was given figure skating, and they was given different what's that synchronized swimming because they're controlling the less hostile rebellious energy. But gymnastics is more aggressive. Some of the females, if they lift a little bit of weights, it'll help them tune down that high energy output, and then they become more. If you look at Dominique Dawes now, beautiful woman. If she wouldn't have went through the gymnastics training that she did, she would be a problem. She would be a problem. She would be one of them sisters that the system has to mount an army against. But she was able to temper that energy. That high Shakti energy, that's the warrior women. And we had exercises like roller skating is a variant of figure skating, right? The girls used to skate and the guys used to skateboard. This it was just a harnessing of the energy. For the boys, shit, take them outside, let them motherfuckers run till they wear down. Then you try to teach them something. Then you try to teach them something, and don't be scared to give them the CBD oils that doesn't have THC in it because it relaxes the central nervous system. Right. So that's a very very important thing. Then you got teas you can give them to help inner peace, like skull cap tea. Uh, Another one I think is called Jonathan Winters tea. Um, uh, what's the other one? It's a couple of different teas but it calms the central nervous system, and then now they can focus. See, they rather give them a pharmaceutical that's going to give them permanent damage, so you can't. It's harder to correct them later. You don't need that. It's herbs. It's herbs for all of this. Right now, I'm a little rusty on my herbology, but I used to know this off the top of my head 5, 10 years ago. I used to just run it all down because I gave the same stuff to people I used to work with. They come in to work, all distraught about their child, and then I talk to them. I'm like, well, just try this. And they come back and be like, I don't know where you got that remedy from. you know, yeah, but they work, right? So, yeah, so it's different stuff depending on the child.
Absolutely. And you know, in our tradition, we it was very common for us to give our children herbs. And you know, Caribbean people would drink tea. Actually, I have mine right here. Depending on what's going on. So, you know, soursop is a great one. We have it on our website. We can get it. The organic soursop is really good for calming the central nervous system. It's great for sleep and relaxation if there's cases of insomnia. And it's also good for any type of cell in the body that grows abnormally, i.e. cancer, i.e. tumors. It goes in and eats away at the bad functioning cell that keeps the good one intact. So it's very safe. Men, women, children, all ages can take soursop leaf, the leaf, not the fruit in this context. It's really good. Lemon balm is also amazing for children with nervous stomach. So the anxiety seems in going to the stomach, or when they're going to school and they're like, oh, mommy, my stomach hurts, or something, if they're leaving and you know their stomach is hurting them, it doesn't know why. Lemon balm is really good. And it's also very high in antimicrobial, antibacterial, so it'll keep them healthy and strong. And these are some things that we can do to help ourselves. Like the mother gives us air, water. These are all of the resources that are all around us, so we can help to heal ourselves. So family, think about getting on this herbal journey. Find out what's around you, what's local, and what can really help you to be well. So I 100% concur on that.
So just a couple of things. The yoni, when it's alkaline, none of the diseases that affect us wouldn't be there. Nothing can live
Right.
there in the alkaline state. The herpes can't live there. They need to be in an anaerobic environment. Gonorrhea can live there because it needs an aerobic environment. All of these diseases that we run into. If the woman's yoni is alkaline instead of acidic, it can't exist there. It can't stay there. It won't. It won't.
Right.
It can't survive. It's like
Right.
dropping one of these kids off 8 years old in the desert, telling them to find your way to a civilization. They're not going to survive because the environment is too hostile for what they're capable of doing. Right. The
Exactly.
cancer. Yeah, candida yeast is probably the number one killer that we don't never hear about. Right.
That's true.
Cancer is from DNA replication, and then the DNA parts break off from the chain and become a free radical. The broken chain then is deformed. If you're not taking the supplemental amino acid, or if you don't have enough vitamin and mineral components in the blood to rebuild that DNA strand, it's gonna attack itself. Right?
Right.
Once it starts folding in on itself, it's gonna try to correct the error, but it can't. Then it's gonna grow what you call a mass or a tumor, which is a whole bunch of those motherfuckers. But the
Right.
simple process of cleaning the liver increases or decreases your cancer risk by 60% just by cleaning your liver. The cleaning your
Wow.
liver also decreases congestive heart failure by
Yes.
like 90% because congestive heart failure, the fluid buildup in the heart cavity is the perspiration of the liver.
Mm.
Cleaning the liver, it'll get rid of about 95% of high blood pressure because most high blood pressure, they don't tell you, is called portal hypertension, where the congested liver causes the portal valve to the liver to back up the pressure in the rest of the body because it can't effectively filter through the liver.
Right.
Right. So just cleaning the liver alone, that's milk thistle, burdock root, dandelion root, just those three alone, and it starts to increase your health.
Yes.
Right. Now, your intestines, you clean your liver first because the bile that allows your digestive tract to run comes from the liver through the spleen. So when your bile ducts become congested, your stool is abnormal, which causes stomach problems. The acids begin to burn the stomach lining because it doesn't have the bile barrier to block it. Right.
Right.
So all of
Right.
these things is critical for health, and not just for the female, but for the men too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I've seen too, I don't know if you noticed about it, Rod, but when I see, like, I had liver disease about 10 years ago, and I also had cervical cancer, which I healed myself of completely, and I help others to do the same. And what I noticed about the liver in particular, since you brought it up, that the emotion that causes, what is the energy, the vibration, all right, has me thinking. And so what I've seen is that the emotion, rather, of frustration, the emotion of anger, sort of sits in the liver, right? And so
Oh Lord, don't let them start this shit when we start getting good. I don't know what's going on. Well, she'll come back in. I'm pretty sure. She'll come back in.
All right.
All right, there you go.
Thank you.
I was like, this Instagram doing this BS again.
Grateful to be back. Thank you all so much. And so when we see these emotions, right, that sit in the liver, we think of anger and frustration. And so what is causing the anger? What is the causing the frustration? Because I've helped people with these conditions, and if the energy itself, what are we angry? If we angry at the world, are we angry at our mother? Are we angry at how we was raised? Are we angry at the job, society? All of those emotions are frustrating and sit right in the liver. Right. And so I think when people are talking about healing and detoxing, we also have, again, like I said, the emotions of it. And so it's just so important just to think about the emotions. And another thing, too, people who wake up 3 o'clock in the morning. Now, according to the Chinese time clock, I think 3 to 5 is the hour of the liver, where it's working this best to detox. So if you're and you can't go back to sleep constantly. You may be frustrated subconsciously. You may be angry at something subconsciously, and it may be just an indication, just to look and see what energy is trying to get your attention and start to heal that, to help also to heal your liver, along with what Brother Rod mentioned. Milk thistle seed is also a great herb. If you have a little bit of liver left, you go on a great cleansing diet and use milk thistle seed in addition to the herbs Brother Rod mentioned. It will help to regrow and regenerate your liver. It's very good. And another way you can tell if you have a liver condition, you can look at your skin. Is it blotchy? Is it uneven? Are you breaking out? Is it itchy? Is it eczema like? These are some things that you can look to self-diagnose yourself. A lot of people want to run to the doctor and get a cream for this and get a cream for that, but mother's like, I got a protocol for all of that. What you're
Yes,
going to do is fast. What you're going to do is take these herbs. What you're going to do is relax. What you're going to do is do some spiritual work. These are just all messengers to say, hey, pay attention to what's out of alignment. So anytime you see anything, it's always just a messenger of what might be out of alignment.
So we got different glands that secrete different secretions. Every one of our emotions is tied to a gland. This is what the old Kemetic medical system taught.
Right.
Right. So all of the glands is responsible for um, running you through the emotion to help you resolve that energy. The secretions is there, right? So when I say, for instance, when you fall in love, what is going on in the body? Oxytocin production in male and female. You have a rapid dopamine rush in the system whenever the person is pulling on your heartstring. Then you produce what they call neuroepinephrine, and then you produce beta endorphin. That's the chemicals your brain produce as the love cocktail. The side effect or why it's doing this is because somebody is causing your mitochondria to say that's a match. Mitochondrial is responsible for powering your cells. And it's also responsible for translating the love energy into the cells. That's why you can a woman look at a woman and she's like, "Oh, girl, you in love." I can
Right.
look at you and tell, and she just be giggling. How you know, girl? How you know? I can tell it's written all over your face. I can see you,
Right.
right? Dudes can't do that. We can't look at each other and be like, "Man, you in love." We don't do that. We can't
Right.
see it. But the woman see it instantly because she controls mitochondrial. When somebody's mitochondrial is moving, she recognizes it because she's looking for the opportunity to move somebody's mitochondria. I'm gonna
That's
turn that
true.
nigga shit up. Have him looking for me in the daytime with a
That's
flashlight,
true.
right? So when the sisterhood get together, if you put three women in love in the same room, and can't nobody in there be mad. You can't be disappointed. You can't be angry. It just you can try. You come in, and then when them three sisters look at you and smile, you leave me alone. I can't even be fucking mad. Like it's that energy, that love energy, that mitochondrial secretion that cause, and it's also responsible for what we call the placebo effect of healing, which is the healing of anything that's wrong with us. Right. So when you talk about in the Bible when they say touch the hem of his garment, that's the queen of heaven and earth. It's the only one you can do that with because she's the only one that carry that much love. That's a whole lot of love energy
Right.
that can touch the hem of their garment and be made whole. Right. That's a lot of mitochondrial output. But then watch what she say. Who touched me?
Right. Right.
How the fuck you know you touched your clothes, lady?
Your clothes.
How you know?